Hi, I'm Sid Dobrin. Welcome to my video blog. In this installment of the video blog, I want to talk about microblogging and its role in the Tech Comm class. Now, most of us are probably familiar with microblogging as a form of social network systems, particularly in terms of things like Facebook and Twitter. But microblogging, as I've found out, has a really great use in the tech writing class as a way of teaching concision. One of the primary facets of microblogging is the limited space in which users have to convey information. Twitter, for instance, limits its tweets or posts to the microblog to 140 characters, thus forcing writers to rethink how they're conveying information in concise, short blocks. Now, I've found that by moving my class listserv from a traditional listserv format to a microblog format using Twitter specifically, that throughout the semester I can then have my students focus on the concept of concision because of how the technology limits what they can and can't write. Now, setting up a Twitter account is very easy, and if you go to the Twitter pages, it walks you through, and you can easily set up an account for your class and then have your students each register their own Twitter accounts to follow the course Twitter account. Now, having students on Twitter and having them follow Twitter is one thing, but in order for this to be an effective pedagogical tool, you need to establish some ground rules for you and your students in terms of how you're going to use Twitter. First, from an administrative standpoint, when you set up the Twitter account for your class, make sure that your settings are set to the account private. That way only you and your students who are following the Twitter account can see the information that's posted on that account. Second, this is also a privacy issue. It allows just you and your students to participate in the conversation. Third, this also ensures that you have to confirm who's following that Twitter account, and it makes sure that you know that your students have signed up to follow for that account. Next, promise your students that you'll respond to all tweets that require a response within 24 hours, and ask them to do the same. Part of what this does is help them get used to the idea that on a microblog there are regular updates that they need to follow, and that they can also then are expected to post fairly regularly as well. Tell your students that anything that they request of you in terms of information via the Twitter account has to be limited to one tweet. What you don't want are your students writing multiple tweets to get one idea across, because that sort of kills the whole concept of using Twitter for concision. So tell them that if they have questions for you or questions for the class, that they have to limit their question to one tweet. Also, make sure to tell your students that when they're tweeting questions or information about the class, that they should use standard written English, not to rely on text or abbreviations, because part of what you're trying to ensure is a transferability of the work that you do with Twitter in terms of concision that can then move into their writing of other technical communication documents. And finally, teach concision. It's one thing to tell our students to use Twitter and that we're going to write short 140-word questions and responses in order to practice concision, but it's another thing to actually throughout the semester talk with them about what concision is. Now, Technical Communication in the 21st Century has a great section in Chapter 10 on teaching concision with all sorts of hints right down to the sentence level for how you can work with your students in improving their concision. But what I really emphasize is don't just tell your students to be concise, show them how concision functions. I hope you'll try using Twitter or another microblogging forum in your Tech Comm class and emphasize it as a way to learn concision. I hope this video has been useful for you. I hope you'll sign up to follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and also to check out my text blog, Situations of Writing, at www.siddobrin.com. Take care.